The period from 2005 up to the present, we were stopped at December 22nd because you got to stop someplace. We counted about 3,000 extrajudicial killings. So that 3,000 extrajudicial killings amounts to, if you take 1 year, the 365 days, that's about 3 killings every single day. And it never stops, every single day. The other common feature of the killings is what? Never any investigation or prosecution. Never. Occasionally, the government would establish bogus commissions of inquiry that are there to serve as adornments on the law, so it gives the pretense that something is done. Every single monitor group that comes in, they leave because they say, this is a hoax. I'm not going to participate in the cover-up. And they make no effort seriously to interrogate the culprits, which is the government. Why would the government ever investigate itself? And this inaction in the aftermath of the atrocities is also proof of genocide, because under the doctrine of command responsibility or superior authority, those like Garibay or Fonseca who have the authority to prevent or to punish after the fact, and they don't do it when they know who the culprits are. They know who killed Mrs. P's husband in that church on Christmas of 2005. They know the culprits of the Trinco 5. They know who killed the Action Against Hunger 17. They do nothing. That itself, doing nothing when you know and have authority to punish, is an element of genocide. It makes them culpable for that kind of inaction. And this also, again, shows the intent to destroy, because they want, by their inaction, to embolden every Sinhalese Buddhist. You can kill whenever you want. Don't worry. Nothing's going to happen to you. Which is true. And that is another element that we've been able to bring out here through the chronicling of events since 2005. Now, with regard to disappearances, we have probably an equal number, 3,000 incidents, say, of serious bodily injury. What does that consist of? Torture, just shelling and wounding people by dropping bombs and artillery shells in schools. Those who are praying in churches, those who are in temples, displaced persons, they just will go in, they just want land. It's being occupied by displaced Tamils. Okay, put shelling there, drive them away, then set up a new camp. Now we have a new military camp. No compensation, nothing. No Tamil has any rights under the law. The law doesn't exist for a Tamil. And if the security services want to take over your home, they just walk in and say, get out of here. You're high security zone, leave. That's it. And so those who continue to reside in Colombo, when they're there not by voluntary choice, as the government would tell you, they're there because nowhere else to live. I guess the option is to live under a tree or out in the open plains in a monsoon. So they go to Colombo because they desire at least some sense of subsistence. But they live in absolute fear and physical insecurity. They worry their kids won't come home from school. I met, when I was in Toronto several months ago, a child who at age 8 had been shot right through the neck. She was paralyzed. She had 8 surgeries in order to prevent her from dying. But that's what as he said, every parent fears. They give their kids cell phones because they worry about these disappearances. And you add to these particular direct assaults on physical security what we call the third category of genocide deaths, creating conditions of life calculated to lead to the physical destruction of a people. Creating conditions of life calculated to lead to the physical destruction of a group, in whole or in substantial part. And it's perhaps here that you find the greatest warped minds in operation amongst the Rajapakses. For instance, starving, denying people food rations, stealing the tsunami aid, directing it to the south that wasn't heard, away from the devastated zones in the Tamil areas. Not only do you have Tamils living on at least, at best, semi-starvation rations, they prohibit any economic activity. They have blockade, so you can't earn your keep any other way. You can't go out and fish. You have no access to the materials you need to grow crops. So you're totally dependent upon the government for your survival. So they not only cut off the food, then comes the medicines. They won't permit the medicines to be available in hospitals to treat diseases, so they are craving epidemics. Can you imagine a government hoping that their people will die from epidemics? That shows you the depraved mind. And then also they put on the list of banned exports to these blockaded zones the spray that you need to kill mosquitoes to prevent spreading of malaria. That's a banned substance, because they want malaria to infect and kill people. And they have sort of the highest probably death rate from malaria in all of the world because of the blockades that are making it impossible to live a hygienic existence there. And in the hospitals, they shut down. They have no generators there. The refrigerators can't keep the blood cold, so that ensures that the treatment will be substandard. They don't even have ambulances. You know, they use bullet carts in lieu of ambulances. Bullet cart. You're pushing this category of medicine back to the Stone Age. A bullet cart. And then you have what I call the never-ending displacement. No one has escaped. No one has escaped the effects of the genocide. Everyone in the Northeast has been displaced at least once, mostly more than once. And you can imagine the psychological insecurity and turmoil that's created when you never have a place of abode. You're always moving. You never know where you're going to sleep the next night. And you can be bombarded. And there's never any security ever. Could you imagine the stress that would put on you? You couldn't even know whether you're going to go to sleep, and then you hear the artillery shells, got to get up and move. And the snakes and all the other exposures to elements creating great trauma, especially if you have children as well. And we counted in the genocide period covering Gadabaya and Rajapaksa over 1.3 million displacements. 1.3 million displacements. That makes Kosovo look like a tea party getting deported to Macedonia, or at least they had aid here. Now, coupled with these genocidal tactics is something that also compounds the fear and the effectiveness of trying to destroy the Tamils, and that is the blackout. Human beings can get resilience if they feel somebody knows. They can talk. Somebody at least understands the plight. But in Sri Lanka, the government prevents that because they cut off all communications. Phone lines down, no TV, no foreign reporters. The NGOs have been expelled. The International Commission of the Red Cross has been expelled. The Sri Lankan Monitoring Mission has been expelled. Everybody's gone. So it's like they're living in a black hole. They don't know what's going on. They can't talk to anyone. They just hear the artillery shells, the government weapons, which again makes them more vulnerable to psychological stresses and otherwise. I mean, you can imagine the rate of suicide, mental illnesses skyrockets, premature births, malnutrition. Something like 80 or 90% of all children 5 or younger are malnourished, first, second, or third degree. And malnourished means greater vulnerability to disease. And the government knows this. Even in Tamil Nadu, when there have been efforts undertaken to gather humanitarian aid at great sacrifice, the government of Sri Lanka says, no, you can't give it out. Even no matter how well it could be monitored to make sure it's not going to the Tamil Tigers, no. It's not going to come in. So all of this sacrifice here is for naught.